thank you for the film. Thank you for being here. Maybe
Thank you for having us, but
Yeah.
thank you for inviting the film, of course. And, we're very happy to be here.
maybe to get started, I can just start simply by asking how this film started for you two. I mean, this is part 36 in your ongoing series, Photography and Beyond, but it's also made in collaboration with the National Cinema Museum of Cinema in Turin.
He knows a lot more about that, but I'm very short. Like, I got a call from Carlo Chatrian, and Carlo Chatrian was the director of the Berlin Film Festival. He was chased out by political intrigues, I would say. And he came in February to the Berlinale, and he wanted to talk to me. And there I met him and Mark, and they said,
Do you want to make this film, basically? No, we talked before on the phone before. I should say that the film is the first in a number of short films that we're making out of the Film Museum in Turin. This year's the 20th anniversary of the museum being in that building. There's a building, well, we can talk about the building later, but just briefly. So this is the first one. A few more will be coming out in the next couple of months. I can say that right now one is being finished, edited by Radu Juda, and also next month Jajenka is going to shoot in Turin. And there's a few others which are still pending. But I don't know, Heinz wasn't, for some reason, when I was in Turin to look at the building and look at the archive, because they have a large archive of various objects relating to cinema, also a film archive. And we never discussed at that point, before that point, about somebody making a film about the actual building. But when I was there, it sort of came to me. I said, of course, why don't we, have a film about the building? I think, the right good person to do would be Heinz Emigholz, who's made many films about buildings, as you say, 36. And I said to Carlo, what do you think? I thought maybe he would be a bit hesitant because, I don't know why, but he's like, oh, great idea. So then we met him in Berlin. We talked about the project, and we shot it pretty soon after. We shot in May of this year.
Yeah, it was shot in 3 days, and then 2 months later it was done. Yeah.
You shot both buildings in 3 days?
Yes.
So at what point did you choose to put the Feta di Polenta in sort of conversation?
Yes, because you can see one building from the other. Oh no, you can see the Mole from the Feta building.
Well, you can see the Feta from the Mole, from the
Yes,
the balcony, but it's very small.
Very small. But these are two very different buildings. I must say I didn't know the architect before, but I was intrigued by the idiosyncrasy of both buildings. I mean, the Feta is just kind of absurd, but the absurdity, it reminds me a little bit of these finger skyscrapers here in New York, where the ground is so small that they have to build a certain building there. And they just had a little triangle to build that thing. And then the
Antonelliana Mole.
Antonelliana is, for me, a kind of strange mixture of all styles. I must say it's not my favorite building on this earth, and I wouldn't have the idea to do a film. But then I was very grateful that they invited me and said, well, why not? It's so strange, why not go there? And so I really decided to go into the inner life of it first, like the cellar, and they constructed it with stones, and then they had to make this concrete construction to hold it up, because this guy, Antonelli, built it higher and higher, and it was supposed to be a synagogue. But then the Jewish community said, no, we don't want it, it's
also too expensive, I think, at a certain
too
point.
expensive. And then it became a kind of signature building for Turin, politically, I would say. And I don't know, the museum is in there for 25 years.
Yeah, there was another museum there before. I mean, during World War II, it was used as storage, which you can also see, by the way, in Peter Greenway's film, The Tulsa Suitcases, which I know Heinz is a big fan of. joking. But it's all, I mean, the thing that's interesting about building is it is the tallest solely brick built building in the world, I think still. At the time it was, and I think it still is, because who would build a brick building that high? It makes no sense. And as you see, yes, you see the sort of the apparatuses which have been added on sort of to continue to prop it up in the superstructure. And even some of the basement shots, you see some remnants of things that were used to hold up, which are still there for some reason. There's a thing where you see some metal poles which are actually cut off the tops. They're actually serving no purpose whatsoever. But at one point they had a purpose, and now there's a different construction.
Yeah, for me that was very interesting to see the inner structure of a thing like that. And you usually, as a visitor, you go into the museum, you don't see that, you know. So yeah.
The sort of different identities that you're talking about this building having over the years, from a synagogue to, I guess, transforming into a kind of national monument, and then now housing a museum. Was this something you were discovering across these 3 days yourself, or how familiar were you with this building?
I was never there before. I did a lot of shooting in Turin because I did a long film about Pierluigi Nervi, and he has fantastic buildings in Turin, but I saw it from far away then. But then, because when somebody said, well, do a film about that, and you say, okay, I agree, you start to do research about the building, and I saw it, and I saw very, very crazy, a kind of mixture of all styles you could imagine. In Germany, you have this word for it, Wolltinger. That's a kind of, I don't know what it is in English.
Don't ask me.
It's an animal made of parts of different animals, and very ugly thing. And so I thought, well, this is an architectural Wolltinger, and I never did a film about that, like that, yeah. But for example, I don't see the Jewish influence. I don't see a national influence. I don't see anything. I just think it's a big, big hall, and now they do these exhibitions in there. I must say, there was a little disappointment for me, because I thought, well, there's the National Cinema of Italy. I want to see an exhibition of Antonioni. But there it was.
Well, you don't see in the film is there is, a permanent display also in there at the museum of not just objects, but also, stills from cinema, posters, et cetera, et cetera. But Heinz decided to focus. Yeah, you see the Cabiria monster, you see the shark from Jaws, but you don't see many elements. We didn't shoot that many elements of the actual display of film objects. Well, the Metropolis sign we see.
Yeah, but James Cameron had a lot of real estate around this time you were filming. Did he have an influence on how you thought about the editing of this film, or just the shape of this film? Because it's reminding me of this.
Who has been edited?
James Cameron.
James Cameron.
James Cameron. Who?
Why is that?
Who had the?
No, I don't know. Why should he have an influence?
Well, the
I
idea of
was
James.
filming the building and not his exhibition.
Yeah, but you must have decided to have that car crash for some reason. Maybe it was because of being exposed to James Cameron for 3 days.
You must know. At one evening, I was really exhausted. When we filmed outside, and I thought, oh, let's do a car crash.
True, he said that. I think he was serious.
Okay. We can start taking some audience questions.
I mean, yeah, just one historical point. He was building that synagogue when Turin was the capital of Italy. The Jewish community was building that synagogue when Turin was capital of Italy, and it was to honor the capital city that they built such an enormous thing. It kept going over and over budget. But then, of course, the capital moved to Rome. That's where we're probably their pants down.
Yeah, but it got a kind of a symbol for Italian nationalism afterwards, after the synagogue.
It was on the Euro coins in Italy. It's clearly the most famous building in Turin, and as you say, you pretty much can see it from anywhere, which is kind of what the point of shooting from the distance, seeing it's really like a UFO kind of plot into the city. There's no other building that's that high.
Oh, I have to tell you a little anecdote, because I flew yesterday, and before you fly to the American state, now you have to have an interview with with people. What do you want to do there? And so I said, well, I'm a filmmaker. I did a film about, well, what about, it was actors? No, it's documentary. What about buildings? And then he said, how old are these buildings? And then I said, 1880. And then he said, okay, you can. As if I would blow up a modern world.
Well, many of your films have focused on modernist architecture, and so I'm wondering if sort of going to the 1800s effect.
No. I definitely have no program anymore in architectural films, but if one of you wants me to do a film, I will decide whether I like to do it or not. I will never apply for any grant to do in architectural films anymore. The reason for that is that it so spoils the whole. You have to pay for picture rights for, even when I do my own pictures, I have to pay for the picture rights of the building, and I think this is so ridiculous in terms of capitalism, of capitalizing imaginary spaces, that I don't want to deal with it anymore. But please come and tell me you want a film, and then we can talk.
We have a set price that we've established for making 30-minute or 60-minute architecture films anywhere in the world.
Well, I was really just going to ask if filming this particular era of building had, I don't know, a new kind of challenge for you as you were actually on the ground filming and sort of understanding the space versus...
Yes, I really love it. I really love to do this kind of work, and I would continue it, but I don't want to get into this kind of lawsuit situation, or when somebody says, I wanted to do a film about Barragan, and then I got this...
Vitra, I was going to ask you.
It's
Vitra, right? That was the
and
situation.
Vitra Design, and Switzerland owns the right, and said, they said you have to pay $36,000 for the picture rights. I'm like, well, fuck you.
We didn't pay anything to the Avatar Foundation to do this film.
They are a litigious bunch.
Hopefully they never find out about it.
Why?
It's great promotion for James Cameron.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, when in a situation like this, rights-wise, the show was up there in the museum at the time. I think somebody from the museum checked with them, and they said, it's as long as you're not like focusing on certain piece of art, blah blah. It's basically promotion for them. So I don't see any problem. I don't think they'll have a problem with the film. It's not something that I'm worried about.
Don't raise sleeping dogs.
He's got more important things to worry about.
Yes, right here. Just hold on for the microphone.
Did you consider any aerial views, using any aerial, like, to get above the building?
Like drones?
Something like that?
Never. I always choose a position that a human can take. So I don't do drone things. Never. No. I like to film from the position that everybody can have, and then do my pictures. Although the director Chatrian said I never was inside that copula, so he saw it for the first time, maybe how it looks inside. But no, I don't. And I don't use archival footage too, because I want to show you how it looks today and not in a kind of idealistic state or perfect state.
Well, that's what the models, though, show that.
Well, the models, but the models are were interesting for me. At first you think, what is that? And then how ridiculous is that with the concrete? And then after you saw it from the outside, you can make relationships between the model and and the structures inside, So I thought they were really important. I know you were bored by filming the models.
It's also very funny, the model where like the top is sticking out of the plastic.
Yes.
I get that question just reminds me that maybe we're taking for granted that not everyone in the audience necessarily knows how you film, what your approach is.
My approach?
Yeah.
To go around and look at it at many as possible sites and create sequences. There are films that just do beautiful tableaus, one after the other, beautiful landscape, beautiful house. And I don't think that's not a good approach to a film. You have to reconstruct the space somehow, and that means you go through it and you do a combination of shots, and then you can, as a viewer, reconstruct the space in your mind. And this is how I do it. And I film as much as I can. And we film more, like at least a third more shots than you saw in these films. But then I decide in the editing how we walk through that building and how we reach certain points, and that's the dramaturgy of it. But I'm open to what I see. I never decide. I never make something like a plan how I would do it. I just go there and film as long as I can, and then I hope I can do something with it.
With a lot of setups in a day. On average, you said how many setups do?
What?
How many camera setups in a day on average do you say you normally shoot?
Maybe 200.
Which is a lot.
We are quite fast. Yeah. Well, it doesn't mean that it's sloppy.
We can take another question from an audience member, but if not, we can also end it there.
End it there, as you wish.
Okay. Yeah, why not end it here?
Speaks for itself.
What?
It speaks for itself. The film.
It speaks for itself. I'm not so sure anymore. That's not, anything speaks for itself. It's, we can talk about it later then. Yeah.
Is there something else you wanted to share about this project?
I like doing it. I like that it was done in such a short time. The contract was that it should be finished by December, and it got finished by June, or July. So I had time to do something else, and that was fantastic.
Well, we are out of time because we have another screening starting. But Heinz, thank you. Mark, thank you.
Thank you again.